Let's stick with Florida in another case, as Stephan Sterns will now spend a life behind bars as he was sentenced to life in prison today in the death of Madeline Soto. He pled no contest to first-degree murder and pled guilty in sexual battery. A post here from Fox 35 saying Stephan Sterns has been found guilty of first-degree murder and several sex abuse charges. Sterns has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on those counts, as he was found guilty and sentenced to multiple life sentences for the sexual abuse of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. It came one day before the first of two criminal trials were set to begin. Sterns pleaded no contest in the first-degree murder and guilty to sexual battery, part of a plea deal with prosecutors. Of course, this case revolves around Madeline Soto, a 13-year-old who reportedly went missing in late February of 2024. Her body was found some 5 days later. Let's take you out to some emotional sound inside of the courtroom today with victim statements, including some from her family, including Madeline Soto's aunt. Let's listen into this here from earlier on Live Now.
When I was 7 years old, a beautiful newborn baby was brought into our lives. And I remember being so excited because I was going to be an aunt. You gave me a sense of responsibility from such a young age because I wanted nothing more at that time than to help take care of you, play with you, and overall just make you a happy baby. You're truly missed every single day. I miss your laugh. I miss your smile. I miss your big, beautiful blue eyes. I miss doing the little things like picking you up from school, helping you with your homework, even though we both hated doing that. I just miss you and your presence. But that unfortunately was taken from us. I have so much hatred in my heart, specifically for the creature that's sitting in this room today. And no matter what happens or what justice could be brought, it kills me that it doesn't bring me back. I would give up my life if it meant having you here with us. Even though I was your aunt, you always felt much more like a little sister to me. Doing your hair for the father-daughter dances that my dad would take you to, letting you pick out clothes for my closet, doing your makeup and making sure it was very light because your natural beauty was worth more than any makeup product money could buy. I just miss you every single day, and it's left a hole in my heart from the day you've been gone. Your innocence was taken from you, and since clearly that wasn't enough for a certain someone, so was your life. You were the bravest little girl I've ever met, full of love, light, laughter, and as any positive thing I could think of, you were all of those things. I'm so blessed to have spent 13 years with someone so wonderful, and you're going to live on through all of us. Not because of what happened to you, because that didn't define who you were. I'm going to make sure my future kids know who you are, and make sure my grandkids know who you are, and so on. Today I sit here before everyone, and all I can say is that despite what anyone thinks they know, you were so loved by each and every one of your family members, and I know you left this world knowing that. I know it would pain you to see what people have to say about your loved ones, but what I think of it all is that, and what I'd want you to think up in heaven is that it's all just noise. And I find comfort in the fact that we, your family, know you were beyond loved and beyond cared for. I'm so sorry we found out too late. But despite everything that was happening to you behind closed doors, you still remained one of the happiest human beings I've ever met. Someone who loved us deeply and made us all smile. Trying to find light in this horrible situation is very difficult, but one thing I am grateful for is that your last day on this earth was everything you wanted and more. You got the birthday you asked for. Your best friends were able to be with you. We cooked the food you specifically asked for, and overall, I have the memory of sitting outside by my pool looking at you and your friends and just thinking, I'm so glad she's having a great time. And look at how grown up she is. How she's blossoming into such an amazing young woman. I could go on forever, but I just want to leave this here by saying I love you so much, and I miss you endlessly. Everything I do from now on, any accomplishments, any decisions I make, anything that happens in my life, I'm going to do it for you and in your honor. I love you, Madeline Soto, and I hope you're resting peacefully now.
Can you tell the court your name and then spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
Natalie Rosero, Nathalie. Thank you, Your Honor, for having me here today. I've known the family for over 15 years. I am best friends with Maddie's aunt and was roommates with Maddie and her mom during the time her life was ended. All of our kids are the same age, so we always try to keep them united and spend as many holidays together. I have years worth of beautiful pictures, birthdays, Christmas, and Easters we all spent together. Those are the moments I try to hold on to as I stand here today. I'm here to express what the past year and a half has been like in my experience. From the moment we found out that Maddie went missing, life has never been the same. Those first 48 hours we set out to look for her, we spread flowers, went knocking on door to door, going to every business down John Young Parkway from Kissimmee to Sand Lake, asking for the public's help. All while seeing my best friend and her family have emotional breakdowns, feeling completely helpless and terrified for Maddie, thinking how could anyone just take her? It turns out we spent almost 3 days looking in the wrong location because Stephan lied to us about where he last saw her. Your Honor, that's the first time in my life I've ever felt true hate for anyone. The following days were filled with more sadness and distraught. We went from searching for a missing person to looking for a body. I had been searching for her as if my son was missing, so it was very difficult to accept that. We spent the rest of the week canvassing St. Cloud until they eventually found her body. Although there was a moment of relief that at least her body was found, that was the last sense of relief I've felt since that day. I was confident I had the power of discernment, but I couldn't even see the evil living in the same house. As details of the sexual abuse and her death came to light, you start to question everything. I even questioned my own faith. Having a full night's sleep became a luxury I could not afford. I was too anxious to sleep, constantly wanting to wake up from a nightmare. It wasn't until I started wishing death on him that I realized I needed help. I started going to therapy to try to deal with the grief and anger of losing Maddie the way we did. I also had to navigate my son's emotions as he finds out the cruelty that exists in this world. Holidays are not the same. The void is loud. It's hard to trust people. I am very guarded. I am hoping that when everything here is said and done, there can be some type of closure, even though Maddie's life can never be replaced. That is the only reason I am here today. As decisions are made, please keep in mind that she wasn't even my child, and I feel this way. I cannot imagine the pain, trauma, and deception that Maddie's family has experienced. I do not wish this pain and suffering on any other child or family. Thank you, Your Honor.
Stephanie online would like to address the board.
We're joined by an online presence. Stephanie, you may unmute your microphone and let the court know how this has affected your family and yourself.
Can you tell the court your first and last name and spell them, please?
I can see that her microphone is still muted.
Can you hear me, Judge?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, hi. I'm sorry. To the court. Maddie brought a light into her. Maddie brought a light into my life that I would never be able to describe. With her outgoing personality and her infectious smile, her infectious laugh. She was so kind-hearted, adventurous, and loving. Now that she's gone, everything's changed. The silence where her laughter used to be is deafening. The hole in my heart is bottomless, and the pain pain is indescribable. My family's life has been shattered. What we've endured and what we will continue to endure for the rest of our lives is a kind of pain that I do not wish on anyone. No family should have to lose a loved one in this horrible manner, especially at such a young. Her life was taken. Her future. I should say, never see her fall in love, get married, or build a future that she deserved. With her. This vial in her.
Appears the connection is no longer established.
If you return it, I can finish reading it, Judge.
Rejoin.
I'm so sorry. I'm not in a good place with connection. I apologize.
You may continue. We can
This
hear you.
vile and This vile and heartless crime has not only affected and traumatized my family, but so many other families as well. It has also impacted her friends, all of those who knew her, as well as the whole community. There are nights where I can't sleep, nights where I wake up gasping for air, haunted by what Maddie must have gone through. I am consumed by grief. I carry such an anger that it eats away at me on a daily basis. A depression I never thought was possible. The emptiness touches every moment of every day. And everywhere I look, I see her. I hear her laugh in my memories, and then I remember she's gone, and it destroys me all over again. To know what Maddie went through and how terrified she must have been is unbearable. The thought of her suffering haunts me. The cruelty of what was done to her will never stop echoing in my mind. I asked the court for something that I know I could never really have. Justice. Because real justice would mean that Maddie would be here with us and not you. You still get to wake up every day, something you cruelly stole from her and from us. The way you discarded Maddie as if she was nothing and her life had no value is a true reflection of your evil. The suffering you caused her should be given back to you tenfold. You do not deserve peace. You do not deserve mercy. You deserve to carry the weight of her pain every single day, just how we will carry it for the rest of our lives. And let me be perfectly clear. Where you go after this life will not be where Maddie is. She is in a place of peace surrounded by love. You, on the other hand, will never know peace. You will never see her again. You're not going where she is going. You're going to hell. Thank you, court.
And Stephanie, can you tell the court your first and last name, please?
Stephanie Soto.
Thank you.
Stephanie Soto. Did you get it? I'm sorry.
Ms. Soto, we can hear you. Thank you for your statement.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Can you tell the court your first and last name and spelling?
Kimberly Vialta. Your Honor, I stand here today to give you a little insight of how loved and how losing Maddie has destroyed my family. Although Maddie was not my blood, I considered her my family. And I loved her like my own niece. Maddie was a kind and bubbly child and was growing up to be the most amazing young lady. She loved arts and crafts, Taylor Swift, and sour gummy candy. I had the honor and privilege of spending many holidays and special occasions with Maddie over the years, and I will cherish those memories forever. I do not have joy or happiness left in me because this monster took that away from us when he killed Maddie. Every day I feel like life is not worth living anymore because such a heinous evil exists in this world. There is not a day that goes by where I do not think about all the pain and suffering that Maddie endured.
All right, just listening in, very emotional testimony from some of the families and friends of Madeline Soto there in Florida. As we continue to follow this story, we're learning more information about Stephan Sterns and the charges. He, of course, pled no contest to first-degree murder, did plead guilty to sexual battery and other charges. Let's be joined right now on the ground outside of that courthouse by Fox 35's Randy Hildreth. Randy, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. What more can you tell us about some of these charges?
Yeah, good evening to you. Had a chance to go through the clerk of courts that has now updated to include the documentation from today's plea hearing. In it, it notes that Sterns ultimately pled guilty to 20 of those sex crimes charges. In total, he faced 60 sex crimes charges, possession of child porn, molestation, and sexual battery. My understanding in looking through those court documents, he pled guilty to 20. The rest of those, essentially, the state has decided to drop those charges, not file any additional as this case comes to a close. But as viewers were listening in to some of the emotional impact statements that were read in court today, it was very solemn, very difficult. You could feel not just the grief in the room, but also the tension in the room. Loved ones of Maddie Soto, her father, getting up to speak, standing in front of the judge just a short distance, less than a foot away from the man investigators say not only killed his daughter, but sexually, and he, in pleading guilty, admitted to sexually abusing her for years.
Yeah, it's such a sad case, and we know more about those charges as he will spend life in prison without the possibility of parole. Did her mother speak at all? Because she has also been at the center of a lot of this case. Obviously, the relationship with Sterns, her position in all of this. Did she say anything inside of court or even outside?
No, in fact, Jennifer Soto, Maddie's mom, was not in court today. We did not see her. In impact statements, we heard from loved ones in person. We had two impact statements read, one from Maddie's grandmother, and then I believe an aunt, Stephanie Soto, joined via video call or voice call and read her impact statement, not physically in court, but read that over the sound system. But it's not clear if Jennifer Soto was with other relatives listening in or even watching some of the live coverage. But physically in court today, we did not see her. We did not hear from her. We did hear from Maddie Soto's father, Tyler Wallace. He talked about that the last time that he saw his daughter in person, it was a visit in October 2023. And he talked about, dropping Maddie off at the airport, and in that last conversation having discussions about their living arrangements or her living arrangements, and potentially Maddie coming to live with him after her birthday. We know, fast forward February 2024, she celebrated her 13th birthday, and then shortly after that, she was reported missing, and investigators say that she was ultimately killed. And her father talked a lot about processing those emotions now that, everyone deals with, unfortunately, death. But he talked about this death being different than any other death that he's experienced, and how this particular grief, considering what Maddie endured during her lifetime and her short life, and the way that she was killed, is a pain that gets worse every day.
Yeah, it was a life cut too short there at 13 years old. All right, Randy, thank you so much. I appreciate your time reporting here on Live Now.